I was nominated, one of 50 people who were nominated, supposedly, musicians who were suggested for this role of musician in residence for the UK City of Culture, which of course I discovered was Derry Londonderry, a largely forgotten place, a largely misunderstood place, a place that many English people couldn't point out on a map. That's why I think it was such a genius move to have the UK City of Culture here. For me, I think music has been the big winner in the UK City of Culture this year. I've seen nothing but musical events and happenings, and you know, I'm proud of music, really. I'm proud of, and I'm proud to be associated with the strong language of music in this city. Being a musician in residence for me has had so many assets, so many advantages for me on a professional and a personal basis. I've made so many friends. Met Martin McGill from the Nerve Centre, who was my right-hand man. Immediately he got me involved with the music promise thing. It was an element that was briefly mentioned at my interview stage, but it was an element I'd not done much research about, and it certainly wasn't in my remit as such. In the initial stages, it involved Marty taking me to a bunch of community centres and schools, and culminating in the St Augustine's thing, which halfway through the year, it was part of Music City Day, I think, which was on June the 21st, longest day of the year. I decided for this sort of interim performance that it would be less about me and my band and more about the people that I'd met along the way, especially in the Music Promise. So we put together, as well as putting together what we called the Mount Molehill Choir, of just, you know, singers and people that Marty knew, and all people from choirs across the city. And the job of the choir was to sing the string arrangements that I'd already had orchestrated and arranged for my band. So we played my tunes. They sang the string arrangements, but Siobhan Shields, who was running the choir, rearranged it and made it applicable for the choir. And that was a beautiful thing. So we sang that in the beautiful acoustics of the St Augustine's Church. I'd done some, for want of a better word, workshops with my band and various ensembles throughout the week before, down in the cinema at the Nerve Centre. And I'd met taiko drummers, and I'd met mad Celtic Afro-fusion bands, and then this little YMCA choir. It's a bunch of kids, really young kids. They'd been formed about 2 weeks, I think, previous to the workshop, and they'd learnt "Don't Stop Believing," that Journey tune, which I actually hadn't really heard before. I'd sort of heard subconsciously, but I hadn't really heard before. So I asked them, you know, what have you been doing? And they were kids from like about 5 to about 10 years old. And they said, oh, we've been learning this tune. So, okay, all right, well, teach us. So I went on YouTube and I learned a few of the chords, with the band, and we played it. And then they sang it with all their hearts, and they sang out loud, and they sang out proud, and they sang at us. And it was really emotional. It was only afterwards that I realised that the reason that choir was put together was to, I guess, give something positive back to some kids who didn't necessarily have a great deal of things to be positive about. They were the highlight of the show. Fittingly, they were set up in front of us, and that's where they belonged, because they were the headline. And once the idea was to do their tune and do a few more of our own, and I actually stopped the show once they'd done their bit, because I thought, there's no way I'm following that. There's no way. And so, yeah, they won the day that day. You have to be glad that the City of Culture has been here this year. You just have to be. You just have to look at your child or your grandchild or someone, you know, a relative, a young relative, or a musical person that you know, and you have to see that they have benefited from it, to coin a rather cheesy cliche. But the power of music has been in evidence here this year. And because of this wonderful people that live in this city, they use all of its strength to express themselves, you know, and it's lyrical, and it's poignant and beautiful, and it's been a wonderful thing to be part of.